Let's begin with educating our viewers about lumber. Not all of it comes from the United States. There's a significant portion that comes from Canada.
You're right. In fact, only 70% of what the U.S. produces in terms of softwood lumber comes from the U.S. itself. The rest is mostly supplied by way of Canada, of course. And this happens not just on softwood lumber as it relates to construction and housing, but of course, when we think of that early on in the pandemic, there was that toilet paper shortage. And then when you think of the masks, that PPE that's so valuably needed, a lot of that pulp and paper product comes from, in fact, Canada for the US.
So the figure, if I understand this correctly, it was 20%. Now it's 9%. That ultimately affects the average pocketbook, though, when you're talking about building. But then supply comes into play. Is there enough lumber in Canada to make this sustainable?
Well, here's the thing: the issues are about the duties rather than even the supply of the actual lumber. It's the duties on that lumber that are being put forth because of the US tariffs. And that's what really Canada is working with the World Trade Organization, of course. Having won a lot of rulings, of course, the US is appealing those or has appealed those. But even as recently as August last year, Canada won yet another ruling which said that these tariffs are unnecessary and unfair. And unfortunately, not only are they unfair, but they hit that pocketbook of the American consumer. So that's really what's at stake here.
What are conversations like right now as we look into the future?
The conversations are very hopeful. I'll be honest, of course, because the administration here in the U.S. and back home at Canada have agreed on a roadmap to building back better together. And together requires real understanding of how these tariffs can affect that integrated supply chain and the jobs market itself within that supply chain. And so, right now, those conversations are at a much more positive place than they were, I'll be honest. But there's still room to go, of course, because those tariffs are still there and that supply is still being held up.
You are a consul general of Canada. You're in Los Angeles. This has got to present some unique circumstances for you in your role and creating these binational agreements.
Well, it does, and of course, it affects. We represent Arizona and Nevada as well, and of course, we're speaking here to the Arizona public, and so what we're seeing from the California migration, if you will, through this time, that in fact demand is rising up in Canada, and Canada and Arizona demand is rising up in Arizona, and Canada and Arizona have such a unique relationship in the first place in terms of that great unique relationship of partnership and allianceship and actual real estate relationship as well. And so this is quite concerning, I'd say, on a lot of levels, not only for the Canadians in Arizona, but of course for the Arizonans who are looking to Canadians and looking to Canada for the support they need in order to build up that supply because folks are moving from California into Arizona and they're going to need houses because that promise of affordability is paramount and it's not being met right now. So it's creating, of course, a lot of challenges. But as I said, because of this hopeful tone, this optimistic tone between the two administrations, we're hoping we can get back on track really quickly. And of course, folks like myself are here to help that along.
Okay. Consul Zabe Sheikh, the Consul General of Canada in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lorraine.